Good afternoon, everybody. One of the principles that is foundational in terms of our roadmap to recovery in order for us to make the meaningful modifications that we look forward to making to our stay-at-home order, again, is our ability to test. I say again because we talk about testing on a consistent basis. And consistently, we have been underperforming as a nation and as a state to provide adequate testing for all that seek it and all that need it. It was just a month or so ago where we were averaging just 2,000 tests a day. In a state as large as ours, that was completely unacceptable. We have now surpassed 1 million tests conducted in the state of California, 1,033,000. On our way to do justice to our commitment, and that is to get to 152 tests per 100,000 population, which is tests north of 61,000 each and every day. We're confident we can achieve that goal. It is phase one goal. We want to do even more and do better than that, but in an effort to keep you abreast, you may recall that our goal was to hit 25,000 by the end of the month. We're now in this first week doing 25,000 plus 10,000, meaning 35,000 on a daily basis on average. So making progress. The second commitment we made to you is that's nice, but what about me? And what I mean by that is, what about you? Living in a rural part of California, what about someone that's seeking the test that doesn't want to be charged, that can't afford to be tested and can't find a testing location in their community? We made a subsequent commitment that it's not just the total number of tests, it's where those tests are proximate to people in urban centers within 30 minutes, 30 miles, or within 60 miles in rural communities. Focusing on the needs of the Black and brown community in the state of California. We've made great progress in that respect. 76 of those 80 Optum sites are fully operational. Other parts of the state, even more remote rural regions of this state, we're looking not to do point fixed sites, or rather sites that have point of tests that are fixed to a particular location, but to start to do these roaming tests that can expand our capacity even further. I'll remind everybody, if they would like, to go to the covid19.ca.gov website, covid19.ca.gov website, click in the testing button, and you can put in your zip code, and you can determine the closest available testing site. We have 241 community sites that we are tracking that are available for testing, plus the Verily sites, plus those Optum Serve sites. You'll see there's still testing deserts in this state, and that's, again, the announcement we're making today to do even more with Optum Serve, and then we'll start these roaming testing sites very, very shortly to provide even more coverage. Just so you know, the site that we are providing, the COVID-19 site, those test sites are free. Regardless of your status, community clinics are providing testing for free. These other community sites are providing testing for free, Optum Serve and Verily. There are pop-up sites all throughout the state of California. Some of them may charge your insurance, may charge you out of pocket. Before you're charged out of pocket, I would just encourage you, or tell a friend, encourage them to go to the COVID-19 site to take a look at the availability of the sites that we have up so you can avoid coming out of pocket. We're trying to do our best to soften that edge and make sure people know that cost shouldn't be an impediment to getting these tests. And I mentioned just a few weeks ago that if all of our system, our testing capacity, was at 100% testing capacity, we can be just shy of about 100,000 tests a day right now. So there's still some supply chain constraints. There's still some issues with swabs and the transport media, issues related to reagents for PCR tests. This is not the universe of antibody tests, the serum tests. That's a separate discussion. That's a separate frame, and we can talk more about that. These are the PCR tests primarily that we're speaking to, that we are confident will provide the kind of quality and assurance in terms of reliability that is, well, FDA approved, and to the extent we can monitor the efficacy we do is as efficient and as effective as we think is out there. In order to also advance our testing capacity, we put out an executive order a little bit ago that directed a couple of departments, Department of Consumer Affairs and our board of pharmacies, folks that oversee our pharmacy industry in the state of California. I say industry just because we have some 6,492 different pharmacies in the state of California that are licensed, almost 6,500, and thousands more pharmacists that they're responsible for overseeing. That board with the Department of Consumer Affairs just today finished up their work and have provided guidelines to expand the points of contact for testing into pharmacies throughout the state of California. Now, let me make this crystal clear. They now have pharmacies the ability to do tests. That doesn't mean every one of them is going to start testing today or even determine that it's in their interest to test at all. It's a determination on the basis of each of these pharmacies whether or not they want to do this. Now, know that pharmacists, many of you do know this, test for hepatitis C in many cases, for HIV. There are protocols and procedures, appropriate protective gear, making sure that we isolate folks that may be symptomatic, maybe asymptomatic, but are concerned. We obviously have to work through all of those. That will be done on each site and will be done in collaboration and the oversight and guidelines that these two agencies have put forward. But the good news is we are now going to increase additional sites with our pharmacies in the state of California, and we hope to start seeing those pop up very, very soon. The first cohort of those that we're training through UCSF and UCLA and the new virtual protocols for contact tracing in the state of California. That first cohort will be trained, and we're starting to recruit the next cohort. Again, this is foundational testing, and then the ability to trace. You got to have a tracing workforce to do that. That then begins the protocols of isolating and, to the extent necessary, quarantine individuals that have tested positive or have potentially been exposed. This stage is that second stage. And in that second stage, we are making meaningful modifications to the original stay-at-home order. I mentioned yesterday, I'll reinforce today, over 70% of our economy in the state of California is open with modifications, and I'm sober with modifications. Today, we're announcing additional modifications statewide for our stay-at-home order that include offices. If you cannot telework, we will allow for office modification and office openings on a statewide basis. We are also on a statewide basis making it clear that malls and those that otherwise are not just traditional enclosed malls, but strip malls and those outlet malls can be opened for pickup. And I want to distinguish again for pickup. So not dissimilar to the announcement we made last week for retail. This also would include malls, but again, only for pickup. So offices and malls for pickup, in addition to other services like car washes, pet grooming, making some clarifications, though there's been some of this happening already on dog walking. All of these areas also are being modified statewide. And I remind everybody, what I mean by statewide is the following. And forgive us, I know how confusing all of this can be. Again, it's dynamic. The statewide order affords the opportunity for local government to come in to conform with those guidelines. But one can choose, region like the Bay Area and the 6 counties can choose to be a little bit more prescriptive and restrictive. Parts of Southern California, LA, and others the same.